We are following breaking news now out of Cleveland, Mississippi. Delta State University is on lockdown after a male professor was shot and killed inside his office. That's according to the deputy coroner there in Bolivar County. The coroner also says the shooter is still at large. The university at this point in time urging students to remain inside. They're sending out tweets. They're telling them to stay inside, away from windows. We're also learning that all of the schools in the Cleveland School District are in lockdown because of this shooting. I want to bring in Therese Apel. She is a breaking news reporter with the Clarion Ledger. She's joining me now on the phone. Therese, you're really our eyes and ears there on the ground. What can you tell us as we look at some aerial pictures of officers there sort of on the scene there at the university?
What we know at this point is that sometime after 10 a.m., this professor was shot and that the suspect is on the loose. I know they've got the entire campus, as you said, on lockdown, and they do continue to put out notifications that the campus is still on lockdown. Students have reported seeing a SWAT team on campus. I got a message from a student who said that they were moved to an entire another floor during the search for the shooter. So there is an active search going on right now for the shooter there on campus.
Do they think, Therese, do they have any idea where on campus this shooter may be, or are they just kind of going building to building without really any clue about the location of the shooter?
It's my understanding that they have an idea of where the shooter is, that there is a building that they are particularly keyed in on at this point. At this point, I can't get anybody to confirm the actual building, but I do believe there is a place where they've really concentrated their efforts.
Okay, that's really interesting that they have an area on campus that they suspect the shooter may be hiding out. Do you know at this point, do you know anything about this professor or perhaps about the motivation? We've heard one law enforcement expert who said when looking at something like this, it seems like someone may have had some sort of vendetta against this person. Have you heard anything about a motive or this professor?
I have not. At this point, we're still kind of working on, there have been a couple of different names that have been put out for the professor. And when I talked to the coroner himself, he said that he had heard two different names, and he wasn't even going to release anything at this point. So the possibility is there is one name that's out there that he's a dad. He's got two kids. The other name, I'm not very familiar with him at this point. But everything's still pretty much in limbo until they have the shooter in custody. From what I understand, they haven't even notified the next of kin on the professor yet. So it's still pretty new, I guess, at this point.
Did the coroner tell you why there may be confusion over the identity of the professor who was killed?
No, and that kind of confused me as well, because it would seem to me that the coroner who has the body would have an identification. So yeah. I don't know if they're just sitting on it and keeping it quiet at this point because there are two names out there. I do know that there are a lot of rumors going around right now and kind of adding to the hysteria there on campus. But I do know that as I said, the officials are keyed in on this one thing. I'm sorry, as this is going on, I'm getting messages from sources too, so it's very much still fluid at this point.
It's very fluid at this point. So Therese, go ahead, go do your work. I know you need to figure out more about what is going on in this rapidly developing situation. Thank you so much, Therese Apel from the Clarion Ledger, for talking to us. And I do want to draw your attention now to this tweet out from Delta State University, just reminding students the campus is still under lockdown. They don't want students to leave the building. They want them to stay away from windows, and they're going to update students as that information becomes available. This is an active shooter situation there on Delta State University. As we just heard from a reporter there on the ground, it appears authorities have zeroed in on a certain building where they believe the shooter involved in this killing of a professor there may be holed up or located. We are going to monitor this. We'll bring you details as we get them.